JP Sebastian. He is back on our couch as we talk about his favorite go-to murder mystery movies. It is a mouthful.
It is indeed a mouthful of mystery and murder.
Do you like murder mysteries?
So for specific reasons, I'm not one of these people, and I know some people just like to, watch some, get him type thing, and like Saw or something like that. And maybe there are levels to Saw. Maybe I'm not giving Saw enough credit. But I do like stuff where it's like, wait, there's something sicker in society at large that the story is trying to allude to. So a lot of these stories, the 5 that I'm recommending to you today, and I'm sure you've probably seen maybe 2 or 3 of them, but a reminder, these are all binge-worthy, watch again and again. They tell you more about the state of the world that we're living in, the time that we're living in, than, finding that one culprit. I'm breaking the rules with the first one, though.
Okay, so first one is Prisoners that came out in 2013.
And when I say I'm breaking the rules, it means that it's not like explicitly murder involved dudes. Have you seen this, Zoe?
I have not. You're adding to my list of things to watch.
I know that you dig this kind of stuff, and like if you really want for a change, something that is like dark to the core. Insofar as a lot of these murder movies we watch, and a lot of the suspense and the thrillers and that kind of stuff, it's very convenient. It's like A is going to happen, then B, then they're going to tick this box, that box is going to go missing, they'll come back to it later.
And then the music's going to play a certain way, then you know something bad's going to happen.
And that's not bad necessarily. That hits the spot for some people, but really what I like is sometimes if the cogs can be made to turn, which these movies should do for us, and like I said, make us think about problems at large, but B, sometimes it's out of our hands whether there's an answer to anything. Sometimes it's as cruel as there being no tightly bowed presence that you can just rip open and be like, that's the murderer, that's the bad guy. But you probably recognize a lot of these names and faces already.
I was about to say a stellar cast: Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal, Viola Davis, and Terrence Howard.
Paul Dano, people might recognize immediately as the Riddler from Batman. Dude's the most important name here for me, though, is Denis Villeneuve, the guy who did Dune. But I think if you love the suspense of something like Sicario, which you do have to watch as well, then you know that Prisoners is going to be so intense. So what happens is that Hugh Jackman's daughter gets kidnapped. He thinks that he's nabbed the guy, and he goes to a really dark place of revenge and finds this is actually screwing me up emotionally, spiritually, rather than, revenge movie Liam Neeson's like, I'm going to get the child at all costs. It's like, dudes, violence is going to do something to you, and you'll learn the hard way in Prisoners.
Well, let's move over to the next movie, Zodiac. It's also one of your favorites. 2007 was released.
And Zoe's already been doing, Zodiac has been doing some detective work of her own. What have you noticed here?
I've noticed that a lot of JP's favorite murder movies, mystery movies, have overlaps on actors. So the first one, Jake Gyllenhaal was in. Zodiac, he features in.
That's right, ma'am. Have you seen this?
No, I haven't.
David Fincher, and David Fincher's got a lot that you can choose from. Obviously, people go back to Seven with Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt as a staple for themselves. But guys, Zodiac is also based on, obviously, the true serial killings that were happening in San Francisco. I think this was the 70s, 60s through the 70s. I don't know if they actually caught the guy, and the people who are into true crime a lot better than I am. But again, David Fincher is much more interested in the sickness at the heart of things, that, maybe resources are stifled for police at the same time that they're focusing on other things. And there's another movie that speaks to that a bit better later. But the person who I just mentioned, the movie that comes up later, director Bong Joon-ho, the guy who did Parasite and also Memories of Murder, which I'll speak about later, said that Zodiac is flawless. It is a masterpiece in terms of cinematography, acting, its story, its pacing. David Fincher, you could give him 3 hours to do a movie and he's going to keep you gripped through every single second. And Jake Gyllenhaal's great for that. Mark Ruffalo is great for that. And Robert Downey Jr. is great for that too. So again, the unpuzzling of not just finding the guy, but knowing that there's a sickness deep down that we got to get to.
You love that. And I mean, Mark Ruffalo also in this next one, Shutter Island, that was released in 2010.
And you ain't seen this either. You've got so much to get through this weekend. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying these are so good. They hit the spot if you're into these. Shutter Island, Martin Scorsese, later coming out with Killers of the Flower Moon. You totally deserve to see that too. And man, I'm so excited about that. But Shutter Island is Leonardo DiCaprio. Actually, the first time he, with Martin Scorsese, did not crack a nomination for a movie. Every other movie they did together, they did. But Mark Ruffalo, as you said, appears here as well. And so, funny enough, and I'll just give you a comparison like this, comes out in the same year as Inception, which also has Leonardo DiCaprio, also has him grieving as this character in Shutter Island is a wife who had a mental illness, possibly, a past that we are trying to uncover, and at the same time here, layers of the unconscious that the characters go deeper and deeper into. And again, when I go back to this, how it ties into society and the greater malheur, the sickness at large of the zeitgeist, etc., is that the movie speaks to the personal difficulties of some of the characters. I'm not giving away anything here because because you go down the rabbit hole in this movie, but also to true stories about stuff like MK Ultra, which is something you could look up on your own time, a really dark secret about the Pentagon, and the true story about the industrialization of not just violence, because Leonardo DiCaprio's character comes from World War II, where it's just watching mass killing like on a high level, but also the industrialization in a way of human care, where psychologists originally wanted to take care of people one by one, but there's this twist coming up later, which you'll see for yourself when you watch that.
All
Do
about
watch it.
the twist. That's what I love about a murder mystery. Give me the twist. Like, don't let me see from the beginning who the culprit was.
There we go.
Now, we are running out of time, but the other two on your list was The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, also an excellent book to read, and Memories of Murder.
Oh, man. And so, I mean, if you want to show any footage of a lady director, then you'd show Memories of Murder, but I love The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo as well. Point that you made there is that you don't show the culprit up front, and none of these movies do. And it's great when you watch Silence of the Lambs, and you know it's Buffalo Bill. That works as well. Gone Girl. You know Rosamund Pike is in the works, but I love when you can keep the cards away from the audience in this effective way that all of these movies do. And I highly recommend Memories of Murder. Director is Bong Joon-ho. It's a masterpiece, 2003, and true story of a killer who I think was only caught in 2019, even though he was all the way back into 1986, where it digs into how police were stretched thin because they were so focused on being fascists to the people of South Korea, beating down student protesters, rather than realizing society is rotting while they're doing all those horrible things at the surface to destroy democracy and the human community, etc., etc. Horrible, the tension in this. And not a lot of these movies give you this, but the true feeling of hopelessness, like this crime is running away from us. This dude is 2 steps ahead, now he's 3, now he's 4. And the mechanic that they use for how radio and music comes into it, it's really frustrating to watch this movie, but it is a masterpiece and it is true to every detail of the real life story. Kang Song-ho, who was also in Parasite, who deserved the Oscar for it, one of the greatest actors we have, and Bong Joon-ho is one of the greatest directors we have. Watch it.
Oh, we can talk movies all day, every day with JP Sebastian. Thank you for showing us binge-worthy murder mystery movies. Hopefully you wrote down that list, and if you haven't yet seen any of them, I would highly encourage you to take that advice from JP.
Recommend to us too on social media.